Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video, I'm going to be bringing something back to my channel that I had started doing and then like everything completely stopped. This is going to be my movie and TV show wrap up for December 2023. I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently. I'm going to be just doing this wrap up. I'm not going to try and be fancy and saying, oh, these are all the movies I watched for the first time and things like that. I will probably do a ranking video at the end of each season where I talk about what my particular favorites were. So we'll see how it goes. But I watched 23 movies in December, and I also watched 10 TV show related episodes. That they weren't all seasons. Some of these are just episodes I watched, but I want to talk about everything in this video. So so the majority of the movies that I watched were, of course, Christmas movies. I didn't get to as nearly as many Christmas movies as I was hoping for this year. Sort of just trying to find that balance again where I really enjoy just putting on a movie and watching it. So, I mean, 23 movies is still pretty good, but I do want to try and work on that and just watch whatever I'm in the mood for. And yeah, so I've got the three movies that I saw at the cinema in December. So I did finally get round to watching The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't know why I put this off, because I know there was so much drama with I can't pronounce her name, but she's had a lot of controversy with Snow White, and then some of that was crossing over into The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I think I was just not following it as much. Even though I did enjoy the book when I read it, I love the Hunger Games franchise, and yeah, I just went, I may not even go see it. I'm so glad I went and saw it, because even though it was nearly 3 hours long, this was such a great adaptation. I'm glad that they actually did it in just the one movie. They didn't decide to split it up into two, because it probably would have been tempting to do that, but I'm glad they just did the 3-hour movie. And then we followed Lucy, Lucy and Snow as navigate through the Hunger Games, seeing the very beginning stages of that compared to what we know 70 years later in this world, and just sort of seeing the beginnings of Snow's rise to power. And I did really enjoy the different Katniss references throughout it, and sort of watching that and then knowing what happens in the actual Hunger Games, you can see why he was not very impressed with Katniss. So but yes, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was fantastic. Then I randomly decided to go and watch One True Loves. I haven't read the book. I have read a few of Taylor Jenkins Reid's other books, but not this one. But I was intrigued by it, so I decided to go and check it out, because I had heard, I think, BookTube talking about it, and I had a good time watching it. It's a pretty standard romantic drama, and yeah, because she sort of has to choose. Even though the situation was a bit more unique, because the main female character, she thought her husband had died, and so she fell in love with somebody else, and then the husband comes back, so she sort of got to try and choose what she wants, basically. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it did a good job sort of showing how a person can actually change in that timeline, over a course of a few years, and that just sometimes goals can change and people change. So I did quite like One True Loves. And then I saw what is possibly my favorite movie of the entire year, and I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did, and that's Wonka. I had such a good time with Wonka. It was, because this was funny, because they went out of their way to avoid it being a musical, but it being a musical is what made this movie. And I have listened to the soundtrack since I've seen it, and I definitely want to pick this one up, and assuming it gets a Blu-ray release here in Australia, because obviously some movies aren't being released in Australia anymore. Disney's pulled the like pulled the pin in the physical media here. So I was just like, that probably means other studios are going to be following suit, but I definitely want to pick up Wonka for my collection because I loved it that much and I want to rewatch it. So, but yes, it was fantastic. The cast was amazing. It was almost like a Ghosts reunion, because you obviously had I can't pronounce Matthew Brayton. He plays Thomas in Ghost. He was one of the bad guys. Simon Farnaby wrote the movie. He had a cameo, and Charlotte Ritchie, I think that's the name, who plays Allison. She had a blink and you miss it cameo as well. So that was kind of fun, just spotting all the different Ghost cast members. So, but yes, I watched Wonka, absolutely loved it. So, and then just quickly going through the Christmas movies, I decided to do like a 12 days of Christmas movies next year, or this year I should say now, because we're January 1st. I'm hoping to actually focus on watching more Christmas movies, watching movies I actually haven't seen, because I did buy a few Christmas movies and just never got around to it. So the 12 Christmas movies I watched were, of course, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Love it. I start every single December with The Muppet Christmas Carol, and then I also ended it with The Nightmare Before Christmas, because I consider that one both a horror and a Christmas movie, so I watch it both in October and December. I didn't quite watch this on the 24th of December because I ended up being a bit busy that day, so I watched it before like the 23rd. But so I did have it where it was The Muppet Christmas Carol and The Nightmare Before Christmas, started and ended. And the ones that I watched in between were After Christmas. This has become one of my favorite Christmas movies to watch. It's just really cute and fun, and yeah, I really enjoy it. Same with The Polar Express. It's a staple to watch. Love Actually has surprised me by how much I do enjoy watching this movie at this time of at Christmas. It's got a great cast, and yeah, it's just great romantic Christmas movie, and I've started watching it regularly at Christmas time, so I don't know where that came from, but... And then, of course, I watched Home Alone and Home Alone 2, classic Christmas movies. I do prefer Home Alone. I think that is my favourite, even though Home Alone 2 has Tim Curry in it, and one of my all-time... actually, it has a couple of my favourite scenes in a Christmas movie. The hotel room where he's playing out, he leaves the TV playing, and then the guy, of course, has a gun, and everyone thinks it's a real gun. I love that scene. And then the scene where the mother is like, what kind of idiots do you have working in this hotel? That's, yeah, I love that scene as well. And then I rewatched, they were all rewatches this year, because... yeah, wanted something a bit comforting and movies that I know I really enjoy. So, I watched Meet Me in St. Louis. I know this isn't really a Christmas movie, it's a holiday movie, but it does have the song Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I count it as a Christmas movie, so I watch it at this time of year. And then a new one, well, I say new because I did watch it last year for the first, 2022 for the first time. And that was Jim Carrey's A Christmas Carol. I really like this one. It's, yeah, it was, it follows the story of, A Christmas Carol. It's, a really, solid, faithful adaptation to it. I just really like the animation style, because it's stop motion capture, and things it's obviously very different to A Muppet Christmas Carol, which is my favorite adaptation. But I do really enjoy A Christmas Carol from 2009, so it's becoming a staple as well. And then I decided to start a rewatch of Doctor Who, and I'm watching everything, related. This is going to the very beginning, and I decided to watch the two Doctor Who movies with Peter Cushing. So I watched Doctor Who and the Daleks and Doctor Who Dalek Invasion of Earth 2150 AD. It has been a while since I've seen these movies, and yeah, it's very, obviously very different to the Doctor Who TV show, but it was very interesting seeing those differences, because this one, the Doctor's like human, he's like just like this mad scientist type person, and then, yeah, he just ends up with a whole bunch of people coming along with him in the TARDIS that he built, and it was interesting because I watched, when I watched Dalek Invasion of Earth, because I was like, I'm sure Bernard Cribbins is actually in this one. And it, like, as soon as I saw his face, it's like, obviously he's several decades younger in this movie, but I recognized that it was him because you could just tell. And I was like, there he is. And, yeah, so that was a bit jarring watching that, because I obviously watched the Doctor Who 60th anniversary special where he appears right at the end, so it was interesting that I watched two of his Doctor Who roles in December. So I watched those. I mean, they're not the greatest movies, but they're fun, and yeah, I sort of need to try and rewatch them more. Then I watched The Man Who Invented Christmas. I really like, because this is a different take on A Christmas Carol. It's how he came up with the story, like Charles Dickens came up with the story. And I think it's very interesting because you sort of see where he got the inspiration from, and then he sort of does, it's like a movie within a movie, which is one of my favourite tropes. So yeah, where he's like interacting with the characters and writing the story, and yeah, it's just a great Christmas movie. It's one I really enjoy watching. And then I watched the last couple that I've got here. I did watch the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, because it had been a few years and I just wanted to watch something that was Christmassy, so I put it on, even though out of the the Grinch movies, the Grinch from 2018 is my favourite. I just didn't get to it this year, so. And then, similar to Meet Me in St. Louis, I also watched Holiday Inn, because, again, not a Christmas movie as such, but it's got the song White Christmas, so it's, again, I watch it in December. This movie is very much a product of its time. I really don't like Fred Astaire's character in this. It's annoying. It's, yeah, and incredibly sexist as well. It's, just, yeah, I don't know why I keep watching it, to be honest, because, aside from the obvious problem, like, there are problematic elements in it, because obviously there's a whole blackface number. I know some, like, rebroadcast, like on streaming and things like that, they've actually cut that number. So, but yeah, because I try and watch something like where it's like how it was intended to be watched, but yeah, that's, scene's very awkward now. So it's, I mean, it was obviously always awkward, but just watching it now and you're just thinking, ugh, has not aged well at all. And yeah, I don't know. I know it's like, I should probably like put this one in that's not one that I go to, but I don't know. I think I've just been watching it for so long, and it's just become like routine to watch it at this time of year. So I did watch Holiday Inn, and that was like, that's the 12 Christmas movies that I watched. Then I did check out Book Club The Next Chapter. I watched this on Netflix because I missed it out. Like, I didn't get a chance to watch it at the cinema. This was actually pretty adorable, like, because, I mean, there's not, these are just very much escapism movies, because the first one followed a group of elderly women who were reading 50 Shades of Grey. And this one is they decide to, after COVID, they decide to take a trip and do the trip to Italy that they wanted to do, but for, like, life got in the way and they were never able to do the trip. Yeah, there's not much to these movies, but interestingly enough, even though it's called Book Club The Next Chapter, the book club really doesn't feature in this. It's all about traveling to Italy, which I get. It was really fun seeing them in Italy, and yeah, it was a cute movie. It was decent, like a decent watch, but nothing too spectacular. So, and then I decided for 2024 I want to do a rewatch. Well, I say rewatch because there's still several Pixar movies I still haven't seen, and I want to watch them in order of release date. So I, of course, started with Toy Story. Toy Story is fantastic. It's just, yeah, it had been a while since I'd watched it, and yeah, it's just, you just sort of pick up on so many references every single time you watch it, and it's like, there's no way I would have gotten these references when I was a kid, because like I was 8 when Toy Story first came out, and it was like, I was watching it, and then when they're talking about like where they come from, like the companies and stuff, and Rex goes on into his whole, oh, I'm from Mattel, and then it's like, I mean, I'm from a smaller company that got bought out by Mattel, like, yeah, I found that hilarious, but yes, I'm looking forward to starting a rewatch / watching all the Pixar movies in 2024, hopefully before Inside Out 2 comes out. So I have that one. And then, because there's a new Ghostbusters film coming out, I want to do a rewatch of all the Ghostbusters movies. So I, of course, started with the first one, Ghostbusters. Love this movie. It's just so much fun, and I think it is my favorite out of all the Ghostbusters movies. But yeah, this was a great time revisiting this one. And then I watched, because I want to sort of go through all my Gilbert and Sullivan musicals for this year, and I started with the Mikado from 1939. This one's very interesting because it's like, it follows the story, like obviously the stage show, but what happened, like they sort of do a prologue, like they show how Nanki Poo actually abandons the court, and he sort of goes and tries to hide away from his father. And then we see the events that led Coco to being condemned to death for flirting, which I always think is interesting that they sort of showed this, because like in the show it just starts like saying, and that's why they do the song to explain what happened. And yeah, it was, I just love the Mikado, and yeah, even though they did cut some songs from this one, it's still like, because I don't think we'd ever get a new Mikado adaptation. I think there'd be just way too, unless the actors who were cast were Japanese, I don't see this ever making it to the big screens again. So I think this is going to be the only adaptation of the Mikado we get for the screen, for like the movies. So, because yeah, I can just imagine the controversies already if they did the Mikado and they casted non-Japanese actors. So, and then another movie that I actually watched in December, and it was a first time viewing, was The Dry, which again, this is one that I've had for a while, and because I know this second movie was meant to come out last year, but because of the strike it ended up being pushed back, and I think I saw that it was coming out in February. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch the first one. So I watched it, and it was a pretty decent crime thriller. Like I haven't read the books, but I'm actually intrigued to read them now, because this was very interesting, because we followed two storylines, because it's about a cop who comes back to this desert outback town, because like there's like a murder suicide happens, and it's basically, he reluctantly comes back because he got chased out of town when he was a kid because of something that happened, and he's trying to reconcile with his past, and he's also helping out trying to find out whether the murder-suicide is a murder-suicide. So it was very good. I really liked this one. So yeah, so I'm definitely going to be checking out the sequel when that comes out. And then the last movie that I watched in December, and my last movie of 2023, I watched The Fellowship of the Ring, because it's been far too long since I've actually done a marathon of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits films. I have tried to do this so many times, and I never get past, I think I get up to the Two Towers, and then I never finish Return of the King. And I know last year I watched The Hobbit and I just, like, I thought I'd change it up and then do it in reverse. Did not happen, so I watched Fellowship of the Ring, and I'm determined in January to finish watching Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits, because I love these movies, and yeah, Fellowship of the Ring is no exception to that. I love everything about it, and I still want to go to New Zealand one day. One day I will get there. So those are all the movies that I watched in December. Then going into TV shows, I watched episodes 6 and 7 of Derry Girls, so I finished season 3. I binged seasons 1 and 2 last year, in 2022. I have to keep not doing that, stop doing that. In 2022, and I never got to season 3 until like nearly a year later. But I really loved this show. It was, yeah, very poignant, like sort of a group of teens growing up near the end of the Troubles. I did like that they finished with the Good Friday Agreement, and we sort of see how the characters struggle with like what that means for them moving forward in like Derry. And I also really loved Liam Neeson's cameo as a cop in this one. I didn't know he was in this because I've seen the clip. Well, I've seen the clip where he's interrogating the girls, and James, of course. And, but I did love that they brought him back for the final episode, because where he's grappling with what to do, whether he wants to vote in support for the Good Friday Agreement or against it. And yeah, that was very like powerful, because you don't see his emotion, like you don't see him say anything. It's just his expressions, and yeah, that was really well done. But yes, overall, fantastic way to end the show. I do think it would have worked better if it had been ending just with the Good Friday Agreement. I get why they did that little cameo in the future, but yeah, I think the Good Friday Agreement would have been the perfect way to wrap up the show. I will say I was not expecting the events of episode 6. That ripped out my heart completely, and left me a wreck by the end of the episode. So was not expecting that, but I did finish Derry Girls. That's one of the shows I did actually finish in just like in 2023. And then, of course, I finished the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. Absolutely love them. One of my favourite like things I've watched on TV. Because in this one I had both Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle. Loved both of these episodes for very different reasons. Wild Blue Yonder was like a really... because I love stories that take place predominantly in one location, especially if they're like on a spaceship, and this one met that criteria. I loved everything about that. It was really twisted and terrific and claustrophobic, and it was great. Just a proper Donna Doctor adventure. Hadn't realised how much I missed those. And of course we got the ending with Bernard Crimmins, and yeah, that was very bittersweet, but I'm glad that they were able to film something with him before he passed. And then we have also The Giggle. Really enjoyed this one as well. Neil Patrick Harris was great as the toy maker, and yeah, it was honestly, it was like the perfect finale for the 60th anniversary specials. Like David Tennant's last one for the time being, I guess, because they can now bring him back if they ever do want him back. So I thought that was an interesting take on the regeneration, but I love the new Doctor so much. Ncuti Gatwa, I think that's how you say his name. He's fantastic. Yeah, just based on, also because I also obviously watched the Doctor Who Christmas special. I loved it. I've been playing the Goblin song, like the Goblin King song, basically on repeat since that. It's just a shame that the Spotify version on Spotify doesn't have him and Ruby singing, but I'm definitely excited for season 14 and all series 1, depending on like how it's going to be like started with, because I think they're changing how it's like they're starting from number 1 again, I think. And then I may as well just talk about the rest of the Doctor Who stuff I watched. I watched all of the Doctor Who Lost in Time box set, which is the missing episodes, even though it's interesting because I know a lot of these have now been put, there's animated versions of them, so it's yeah, so it was interesting watching this, knowing that there is a complete version of the story. But yeah, it was fun revisiting these like missing episodes, because, well, not missing, but the ones that survived the episodes. And yeah, it's been a while since I've actually watched this box set, so I did that. And then I did get to starting An Unearthly Child. This one's, yeah, very interesting because it's got a great opening, but then I feel like by the end of it, it's the story with the cavemen's just not as interesting. I know it wasn't meant to be the original story. I think Planet of Giants was meant to be the first story, but yeah, it was like, it's still a very good opening, like an introduction to these characters. Even though sometimes the screaming can be a bit much. Because that's one thing I do notice when I was like watching these things. I was like, oh yeah, they do that a lot in these early episodes. Like, 'cause I know it's like a product of its time as well, but yeah, it gets annoying after a while. But I did watch Doctor Who: An Unearthly Child, so it was very much a Doctor Who month, which, you know, can't go wrong. Then I did watch Shetland Series 8, because this was a show that I've been completely obsessed with this year as well. And this was the first episode, like first season, without Douglas Henschel. I was almost going to blank on his name, and I was like, no. But yes, it's the first season without Douglas Henschel as Jimmy Perez, and it was different because like most of the cast were back for season, like Series 8. I will say I did like the new DI who came in. She was very different. It's, yeah, sort of seeing her return to Shetland, because she was like, because it's like one of the characters who left Shetland, and then she reluctantly has to come back and help solve the case because it's linked to the case that they're working on, and she's trying to deal with like her past in Shetland and everything with her family. And yeah, so it's very interesting character. I did like also how they sort of addressed why Tosh wasn't the DI, because I was like, oh, but she's like naturally the next in line to take over. But then it was like, I mean, there could have been a way around it. Like, I suppose they could have had it that she, they did a time jump and then she moved back. But I did like that they addressed, oh, I don't want to move from Shetland. I want to stay here with my family. So I did like that they'd sort of set it up that that's why she didn't want to take on, like, to become a DI herself, because she was like she was the DS, so, but she was like acting DI throughout most of the season. But yes, I would be very curious to see more if it ends up being renewed, because so far they haven't announced a renewal date, like a renewal for season 9. But I did like season 8. I do, even though I did miss Douglas Henschel in the role as well. So then I watched the first 6 episodes of season 1 of 24, because I want to have more new, like, I'm trying to watch more new to me shows, and 24 has sort of been a show I've been interested in, and this is going to be like my main streaming show, because there's like 9 seasons, so it's going to take me a while, but so far I'm very intrigued. It's a very unique way of doing the seasons. Like, I like that it's like an hour out of every, like, for one day, and yeah, so I'm like up to episode 7. I'm very intrigued to find out what happens. So that is 24. Like, yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. So that one, and then I finally started NCIS Sydney season 1. I've watched 7 episodes because Last I checked, episode 8 hasn't come out yet. I like this. It's very different, obviously, because I'm only like a couple of hours away from Sydney, and I've been to like some of the places that they mention in the show, so that's kind of cool. But yes, there's a lot of Aussie tropes and things like that, like, and Australian references, like, because they reference Bob Hawke, they've referenced, like, you know, how many dangerous animals we have, like, that was a plot point in one episode, and then there's a lot, like, Australian, slang, so I'd be very interested to see, like, people who aren't from Australia, how they take, like, NCIS Sydney, because that would be curious, because I know we've got a lot of different slang here, so and then the last two that I have to talk about is the Ghosts season, the Christmas special. This was a really, like, I wasn't expecting to love Ghosts as much as I did, because I mainly checked it out because of it was based on the Horrible Histories cast was in it, like the original cast members. And yeah, this was a very heartfelt show, and like there's a lot of humor in there, but yeah, a lot of like some episodes, this is what you sort of 1 minute you were laughing, then the next you were crying. So wasn't expecting to be as emotionally invested in this show as I was, but I did watch the Christmas special. I thought it was a very fitting way to wrap up the show. I liked the ending. I'm glad that was the ending rather than season 5, because I didn't know there was going to be a Christmas special after it. I thought season 5 was it, but nope, there was a Christmas special, so I watched that one, and yeah, it was great. I loved it. So, and then the last thing I watched in December was the Death in Paradise Christmas special, because yeah, another show that I've been obsessed with the past year. I really enjoyed this Christmas special. I didn't see the ending coming at all. The case was pretty like interesting, and I also like that we still got some fallout from season 12 with what happened with Sophie, and yeah, just sort of seeing Neville struggle with that. I also really liked the introduction of his mother, because it was a nice change from not having the typical overbearing parent who comes in and takes over the case and things like that. The mum was mostly off doing her own thing, living her best life, and that was great. So yes, that was really fun, and I'm glad we got had new episodes of Death in Paradise, because I'm completely caught up to the show, which yeah, sort of like one of those ones where I had never seen a single episode of Death in Paradise, and then over the course of a month I completely caught up. But anyway, that is everything that I've watched in December 2023. So yeah. So yeah, this has been a long video. It's that hasn't changed at all. So but anyway, thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I will see you guys next time. Bye.